Hi guys, welcome back to another North segment of North News. Today I'm here with famous TikToker, Youth Pastor Ryan. Hi Ryan, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Faith?
I'm good. So what got you into TikTok?
Well, so it's kind of funny. So I've been a stand-up comedian for, I guess, not consistently, but for about 6 years, and I've done improv for about 14. I started really young with that, and then I was doing I didn't have time to go out and test material, so I would start putting them up on Instagram. And my buddy Casey Jones, he DM'd me. He was like, "Hey, man, you should really try this new app called TikTok." And I was like, "Nah, that's not gonna go anywhere." And so I put up one video, and that first video hit it was in a day, hit 25,000 views, and that's the most I had gotten on anything in my entire life ever. And so I was like, I'll keep doing this. And now here we are, just a little bit over a year and a half, or somewhere around, about a year and a half later, and 3 million followers. And so it paid off. So I'm forever indebted to Casey Jones.
How did TikTok becoming TikTok famous change your life?
So that's so funny. It's so funny because people use the word like famous, and for me, it just feels like especially because it's COVID, so I sit in my room all the time. So I'm just always like my roommate, we're just I don't know. It feels so normal. I still don't go outside, is what's changed. There's been cool moments of being able to do things that I never thought that I'd be able to do. Me and the narrator, if you're familiar with him on YouTube, he we got to go drive tanks together because they wanted some advertising. I was like, yes. So we drove 1970s German tanks, and we shot flamethrowers, and we're like, what is happening? So it was cool. It was awesome. So it's just been cool, fun moments like that. And honestly, making a whole bunch of friends that all love comedy and the creative space is fantastic.
Do you ever miss being not famous, or do you like being famous?
So I truthfully, I don't ever consider myself famous at all, which is very funny. Just mostly because I've got a little notoriety on this one app. And also I think it's very helpful that I've got a lot of friends that have higher followings. So I'm always I'm not them. You know what I mean? But it's cool. Yesterday, actually, I was going into a Best Buy and someone recognized me, and I was like, and it's so neat to get recognized, to be like, oh, that's so sweet. I think I get more excited than they do, though, because I'm just like, how do you watch my stuff? But it's fun. It is fun, and it's nice, and I'm glad, mostly because I wanted to tour as a stand-up comedian, and it's given me the opportunity to do that and make that my full-time job now. So that's fantastic.
Yeah. So what got you into stand-up comedian stuff?
I guess from really early on, my family always has kind of a weird dark sense of humor, and so that's how we just cope with things. Is we'll just be we'll do jokes. And essentially I did a summer camp at one point. We started doing improv, and it was improv comedy, and I was like, oh, I love this, the ability to kind of work on the fly. And I was actually getting ready to leave. My high school and middle school were connected. I had a bad middle school, which is how you find funny people, really is later. And I essentially was just like, okay, I'm going to leave that school. And one friend of ours told him, hey, stay, do improv, because the school offered an improv class, and they were just great. The woman was taught by Del Close, who was the founder of modern day improv. And we trained up, and I got on the team, and I've been doing stand-up, or I've been doing improv ever since. And stand-up, actually, believe it or not, I went to college, and in college, I didn't make our improv team. And that's all I want to do. I went to that college to be an engineer and make the improv team. Both of those collapsed immediately because I don't have math skills. And I was curious why, though. And turns out there was a girl on the team who had dated a guy who looked like me. And but we've never met at all, never spoken words. And she hated me from the get-go because I looked like her ex. And I was like, okay, so that's when I went home and started doing stand-up, because I was like, stand-up's the only thing that I can control 100% myself. And that's how we got here.
Yeah. So ever since COVID happened, how did COVID affect your stand-up career?
Oh my gosh, yeah. So I had just gotten ready. So I tour colleges for stand-up. That's what I do, because there's the 5 C's of stand-up is really where you perform. It's clubs, colleges, cruise ships, churches, weirdly enough, and corporate. And I don't fit really, I guess I could do churches, but I don't really fit those other demographics because they're looking for different types of people. But I do colleges, and it's fun. And so I had just queued up. I was ready to start touring that April. I had colleges booked. I was ready to go, and March happened. And so COVID happened. Now I actually do a lot of virtual shows for colleges, which is fun. It's definitely different. But it's got a fun vibe to it. But I got to perform on Saturday for the first time in a while live on a stage. There was only 8 people in the audience because we had COVID regulations, but then we also it was broadcast. but there's nothing like performing live. It's so awesome.
If you can give anyone advice for who wants to try to become famous or become like a stand-up comedian, what would you give them? Like, what advice?
Oh, so I'm gonna have to break those down separately. So for
Yeah.
famous, don't. Like straight up, I don't aim for famous. Aim for doing the things that you love. I wanted to perform at colleges, and that's all I wanted to do. I wanted to make people happy. That was my whole game plan. And I just really I focused on it, and it's just I found a way to give joys back, and that's it. It worked out. Don't get me wrong. And this is there's cool parts of the fame aspect, but don't get me wrong. Like not everyone's gonna want to see you succeed at all. And so there's moments where you're like, oh, I thought we were friends. This is weird. But I wouldn't aim for it. It's not the baseline of what makes you happy. Trust me. But as far as stand-up goes, get out there and do your first open mic. Prep your first 5 minutes. Nothing will be as scary as that first 5 minutes because you don't know how the audience is going to react. Work on your timing. Watch comedians, but also only take in a certain amount because at a certain point you don't want to become that comedian. You want to be you, and that's what makes you unique. The thing that I would recommend reading is a book called Truth in Comedy. And also, I'd recommend. So, for instance, I go by Youth Pastor Ryan because I went to Christian school for 18 years, and then I taught Sunday school. I am not a youth pastor. I never was. I mean, I taught Sunday school, like that was it. But I go by it because so many people have come up to me in real life and been like, "Are you a youth pastor?" Now, I personally don't think I look like a youth pastor, but I know that I do. It's one of those things. If you're getting into comedy, you got to acknowledge the parts of you. You got to really you got to look at the reality as other people see it, and that's fun. Yeah.
So do you have any like upcoming like plans or like kind of like not achievements, but like entertainment stuff that you plan on doing in the future?
Absolutely. So I leave tomorrow and I'm touring Middle Tennessee State University and then Christopher Newport, which is going to be fun. I'm stoked to be there. And then I am also, so I've written an animated script. And so I have 106 page script and it's an animated movie and it's meant to be that way. And it looks like we are partnering with some people right now to get that made. So that would be really fun. But other than that, just kind of keep growing on TikTok, keep touring colleges and having fun. And yeah, we'll see where it goes.
I know you have like a comic coming up. I saw on your TikTok that you are in a comic. Can you talk about that?
Yes. Okay. So those are my friends that so they run GadgetBot, and weirdly enough, so this is the craziest part about like how small the world is. In 2014, I did a voiceover randomly for the show called Forevers. It never aired. It was shot fully in VR, but I voiced for it. And so we went to this thing called VRLA, which is Virtual Reality LA. It was like this big convention, and I was there and I ran into this team called GadgetBot, and like they had this super cool game coming out called Kydro, and it was really to promote this story that they wanted to tell. Now, cut to 7 years later, and I know Robert and Peggy who run it because I met them there, and we both we're going up on TikTok, and they like we got to chatting. We're like, that's where we know each other from. And so it is a sci-fi adventure series. It's available on Webtoons. It's called Kydro Chronicle, and that's Kaidro Chronicle. It's so much fun, and I'm so honored to be there. I'm stoked.
Who else is in the comic with you guys? Can you give the name?
Absolutely. So Jennings Brower is he's a character on there. Iron Sanctuary or Kevin. Quincy's Tavern. Quincy's there. Trying to think, there are quite a few of us that have like made the rounds where they were like, hey, we want to use your likeness, and we're like, yeah, we want to be in a comic book. It's awesome. I was stoked.
All right, so thank you again for letting me interview you. This is so much fun.
Of course, thank you so much for thinking of me. I appreciate it so much, and I'm stoked to be here. Is there any other TikTok questions, anything that you got for me, just off the cuff?
I don't have any, but I'm also a creator. I just hit 12.2K followers. So do you have any like advice for me to keep going?
Absolutely. First off, like, yes, like keep going. That's awesome. My buddy Daniel is just he has been like working on his stuff right now too. He just hit like 15, and that's like a big that over 10K is a big step over point.
Yeah.
It's 10, it's 100, and then it just keeps going. I'd recommend be consistent with your posting, be consistent with your with the type. So it's interesting. It's this weird thing where it's like be consistent with your content, but also you have to diversify it enough that people will keep coming back for more. So it's very strange that way. But absolutely, just I would just say, as long as you're having fun with it, keep going and keep crushing it. And that's so great. Congratulations. That's awesome.
I'm literally fangirling right now. This is like, oh my god. I mean, my friends and I were like literally crying. My one friend is obsessed with. She loves your videos, and she was so jealous that I was like interviewing you. She's like, I'm so mad at you, and I'm like, I'll make sure I tell him you said hi.
What's her name?
Her
Absolutely.
name's Kayla.
Kayla. Well, if since this is being recorded, I guess if you just want this, hi Kayla, nice to meet you. Yeah, but Faith, I am so honored and thank you so much for interviewing me. I appreciate it. I hope you have a good rest of your day and it's nice.
Thank you. I hope you have an amazing day.